your side? Okay. All right, just waiting for the social media link to go. You're good with the live stream, Spirit?
I think she has a network problem, Rion, but I don't see live on Facebook yet. So
it's just, can colleagues also just mute themselves? I heard some background noise. Yeah, Raymond, I think maybe let's just give it a minute. If not, then I mean, the recording can also be uploaded onto the YouTube channels and shared. I think it's just for record keeping purposes and, you know, public notice of what we're commemorating here today. Yeah, I see she's dropping on and off. All right. Let's just see if she comes back in the next minute. If not, then we'll proceed. All right, if she doesn't come back, just to confirm with our colleagues from SAISA, you'll find if we just record and then we'll share the recording.
I think we are good with that on our side.
Good. All right. Welcome, colleagues. Thank you for joining this meeting. I think we've been discussing this meeting for a while because we've been seeing a lot of synergy between the work of organizations. And so it's great that finally today we can have this meeting and discuss this very important issue and make these important steps in the cooperation between organizations. It's obviously possible for organizations to cooperate without these kind of formal declarations, but these are just important steps to make it known to each other and to any public figures or any public stakeholders that our organizations consider each other as allies in the common cause for South African youth. So without further ado, I will then start the program for us today. So in the program, we're going to have a presentation from the South African International Students Association about the work that they do. We are going to have a presentation from myself for SABYA about the work that we do. And then we will have remarks from both the heads of the two organizations speaking about this particular partnership and its value for both organizations and the common mandate that we share going forward. And then after that, we're going to just have the official signing, having all of the relevant parties, both the heads of both organizations and a witness from each organization, signing this declaration of friendship. We'll also read through the declaration of friendship so that any public interested parties can know what we have agreed on in today's session. So without further ado, I'm then going to give over to the individual from SAISA who will be doing the presentation. I believe this would be Muzi.
Yes, it is.
The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm just sharing my. I'd like to formally greet all members from SABYA and as well my colleagues from SAISA. Speaking to you is Muzi Wendo Damasego, a third-year electric engineering student in Novocherkassk, Russia. And I'll be giving you a brief explanation of what SAISA is, as well as a history and our objectives. I'd like to open up with a quote from Nelson Mandela, which reads as, "It is in your hands to make a better world for all who live in it." This is closely associated to what South African International Student Association stands for, which is an association specifically dedicated to serve the needs of all South Africans studying and those living abroad. Our main objective being to eradicate the lack of knowledge as well as opportunities available for those who are studying and living abroad in those specific host countries. SAISA was started and founded on the 21st of September 2021 during an international youth camp which was hosted by the BRICS in Ulyanovskov in Russia. This was hoped to be a new future for South Africans abroad to ensure all students have a productive and informative experience. So as SAISA, we attest to the fact that so many international students are unaware of the opportunities available to them in their host countries of study. The aim of SAISA is to address these issues and as well as eradicate the problem, which is the lack of knowledge of the youth policy opportunities available to them. We aim to form a united front of South African students abroad and alumni who have studied abroad. We live in times where we need each other, and SAISA is a reliable platform to forge such relations. We aspire to exchange fresh and unique ideas to help each other address these challenges we face as students, as well as alumni, and to identify opportunities available to us for individual and collective growth while studying abroad. We aim to be in collaboration as the South African student body overseas, collectively with other organizations that we share similar vision with, to ensure we become graduates of higher caliber who can transfer skills such as cultural awareness, language, and communication skills that enable us to operate in an international context, not only in South Africa, but also globally as well. Our brief objectives are to address the previous issues which I've mentioned, as well as the challenges students may face in their host countries upon arrival or during the course of their studies there, and to promote an active student participation in youth programs in the host countries, which will promote leadership, education, and intercultural dialogues. We've had past projects which we've participated in, as well as those which we've planned in our near future. First of all, being advocating for those students who are disposed in Ukraine due to the circumstances happening there, who needed transfers to different universities. And we've also identified opportunities for South African students based in Hungary, and we hope to do so for other students in other host countries. We've also participated in a Freedom Day excursion, which was hosted by the Institute of Africa in Moscow, where a few of the students are attending, South African students attending in Moscow, as well as a couple of members from our embassy. In future, we will be hosting a youth celebration seminar, which will be focusing on Youth Day. So we couldn't host it on this particular day, but we look forward to celebrating it on the 2nd of July, as well as a 2-day Heritage Festival, which will be hosted in October on the 23rd, as well as the 24th. We've previously made partners hoping to grow our knowledge and experience in youth development. And these are mainly Russia BRICS Project Office and International Cooperation, Expat South Africa, International Youth EduSkills Foundation, Srazu Group, Gorchakov Foundation, Supernova International Youth Center, and today we're glad to be having a friendship and partnership with the South African BRICS Youth Association. We look forward to growth and prosperity. We fully encourage all South African students to engage and participate, keeping in mind to have respect and dignity towards our fellow friends, acquaintances, and future colleagues. I'd like to leave you off with a quote from Charlotte Maxeke, which reads as follows: "This work is not for yourselves. Kill that spirit of self and do not live above your people, but live with them. If you can rise, bring someone with you. This quote is something we try to instill in each of the members of SAISA, as well as spread it to all partners and hopefully people who are studying abroad. Sdom Maladoji, happy Youth Day to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Muzi. It's very interesting to see the work that SAISA is doing, and from SABYA's side, we're particularly excited to connect with what you guys are doing. So I'm then going to move ahead to the presentation from SABYA as well, before we go to get our remarks from our organizational heads on this particular partnership and its strategic value. I can just quickly share my screen. All right, so this presentation is a brief introduction to SABYA for both our colleagues from SAISA and also those who are watching this recording to learn more about both organizations. So without going into too much detail, of course, all of us know that BRICS consists of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are key emerging economies around the world, consisting of 41% of the global population and more than 22% of global GDP. SABYA was born out of the recognition that within this growing ecosystem of BRICS nations and BRICS activity, there was no clear space for South African young people to engage with the work of the BRICS nations. South Africa has been a member of BRICS since 2011. And so for the last decade, South Africa has been integrating itself into many of the different entities of BRICS, which I will also list in a moment. But as I said before, there was never a space for young people to actually engage. And so the concept of SABYA was born during the 2018 chairship of South Africa over BRICS and during the BRICS Youth Forum that took place that year in Limpopo. And so our chairperson, Mr. Matlala, was a delegate at that forum, and engaging with key government stakeholders asked the question of where are youth supposed to position themselves? And with the support of these key stakeholders and with their blessing, he and a group of young leaders then went ahead and established the South African BRICS Youth Association. Since then, the association has grown significantly, and I will also in this presentation go into a bit of detail about how the structure has evolved over the years. But this is where we position ourselves within the universe of BRICS activity. Some of this activity, as you'll see listed here, include the BRICS Business Council, the Universities Network, the Civil BRICS Forum, the BRICS Think Tank Council, the BRICS Parliamentarian Forum, and the New Development Bank, just to name a few. Unlike other international organizations, BRICS does not have a headquarters, like, for example, the UN or the AU, but rather it's a very loosely affiliated groupings of different stakeholders that have different interests in utilizing the vehicle of BRICS towards their ends. So SABYA has strategically been building relationships with all of these BRICS-related entities, including a youth perspective into their work and encouraging them to engage youth more constructively. We currently, at this point, have young representatives from SABYA represented in the various working groups of the Business Council. We are in ongoing talks with the Universities Network about the summer school programs that they host for students. SABYA is a coordinating partner of the Civil BRICS Forum, and we continue to engage the other organs of BRICS on an ongoing basis to ensure that South African young people understand BRICS and have an opportunity to use it as a vehicle for personal and professional development. The brief summary of what SABYA is SABYA is obviously a non-profit organization in South Africa registered with the Department of Social Development, and its vision is to advance and promote global South cooperation and be a leading voice for youth within BRICS and multilateral platforms. So that statement can be broken down into three parts, and this is how we frame our work as an organization, as a youth diplomacy and development organization. The first point you'll see is to advance and promote global South cooperation. So SABYA sees its field of work and the arena in which it progresses its youth mandate as the entire global South. On the second point, to provide South African youth with the opportunity to meaningfully participate in BRICS as a vehicle. Oftentimes we get asked about our position with regards to BRICS, and BRICS is for us a vehicle, a well-established vehicle that has evolved over the last 2 decades, that provides unique opportunities for Global South youth to engage with international relations. So BRICS is a vehicle to SABYA. And the third point is perhaps one that is unique to SABYA within the broader BRICS youth space, is that everything that we do from an African perspective. So South Africa obviously represents the African voice within the BRICS bloc. And as such, we take the mandate of having a Pan-African perspective on issues, on policies, on discussions very seriously. And this is something that we try to integrate into all of our programs and projects as we go ahead. The principles of SABYA, to briefly touch on them, is firstly to build an intergenerational organization. We have a very long-term vision, and we seek out partnerships with organizations that also have long-term visions. And I think from the presentation from our friends at SAISA, we can see that they too have a long-term vision for the organization, to move from one generation to the next, so that we can create something that we can give to those who will come after us, the young people that will come after us when we are no longer youth in the next 10 to 15 years, so that they can then build on. And in 40, 50 years time, we can look back at these organizations that we've built and say that we've contributed to something sustainable. The second principle for SABYA is establishing SABYA as a trusted and reputable youth brand in BRICS. And this, of course, again, is linked to the kind of friendships we make and the kind of organizations that we associate with and the projects that we run. So very much linking into today's meeting and its relevance as well. The third point, fostering open and accessible channels for youth to engage with BRICS. As a non-partisan organization, but also a membership-based organization, SABYA tries to open up all the opportunities that it gains through its network, its global network, to young people in South Africa, regardless of where they're from or what their background is, or whether they're studying or not studying. We see youth as a multifaceted demographic in South Africa, and we try to address each part of the youth group strategically. And then obviously in this meeting, the strategic group would be your students, those studying both in South Africa and abroad. And the fourth point, which I think is very much reflected in the fact that both of our organizations are South African based and international relations focused in their work, is that our principle is always to put South Africa at the center. So we don't just merely participate in what other people are doing, but we actively try to create spaces that are led by South Africans, not just for South Africans, of course, for the entire Global South, but having South Africa as a leading voice in setting the agenda. To comment a bit on the structure of SABYA, to give all those watching an idea, is that SABYA has a 13-member board, which consists of representatives from across the BRICS nations, 11 executive committee members dealing with the different departments, which I'll also touch on in a moment, a leadership collective consisting of 35 plus. I think at this point it's probably closer to 40 different young leaders in the different departments pushing the agenda of SABYA. And then obviously our members, which form a very, very important part of our work. Currently about 600, I think about the most updated number would be around 700. So that's a growing network of BRICS enthusiasts and young people who really want to position themselves within the BRICS bloc. The different departments, I'm not going to go into each of them, but just to give you an idea of the kind of work that we do: research, administration, fundraising, economic and social transformation, membership, stakeholder relations, marketing, and projects. So these are the different departments that the young leaders who dedicate themselves to the SABYA movement work in, and how they contribute to the organization. We also, as I said, have multiple stakeholders consisting of both civil society, business, government, and we're very happy that after this event, we'll be able to count SAISA as part of this this network of friends that we can draw on and assist, and also make part of our own projects and programs. This slide, I think, is very important for us as well, because this speaks to the philosophy of how SABYA defines youth leadership. So this is a pyramid of engagement that we use when developing our programs and projects and engaging with stakeholders on how young people are actually participating in the process of youth development and in this movement. So of course, your lowest form of participation would be observing and following. I'm sure that SAISA will also be aware of this. There are many young people who are interested in the work. They follow the work very keenly, but that's where it ends. And then the higher level of engagement would be actively endorsing, sharing, becoming an ambassador for an organization, contributing to a project as a volunteer. That would be your next step of engagement. And the final step of engagement would be owning and leading, where we actively have young people and we empower them to take leading roles in the work of the organization. And so for SABYA, it's very important that we are strategic in our partnerships and in our projects to take young people from the observing level all the way up to the leading level, because that's what we believe is necessary for the kind of pro-South African social movement that we need among young people to affect real change. Then I'd also just like to highlight some of the upcoming projects that SABYA is currently working on. For the last few months, we've been working with on our BRICS bilateral forums. The Forum for Russia is currently coming up, and we're currently sorting out the last logistics for that before we launch the call. And then later this year in July, we'll also be having the Africa BRICS Youth Forum here in South Africa. In September, we will have the BRICS International Winter School, modeling after the winter schools that already exist in China and Russia. And we will be working very closely with a key university partner here in South Africa to make that a success. And then finally, our last project for the year will be the International Youth Forum, hosted around October, November. So this is obviously information that we will continue to share with all our partners, including SAISA. And we really look forward to receiving contributions from our partners on these. The final slide that I want to highlight is, of course, and this is important, we think, for all South African youth to take note of, is that in 2023, South Africa will once again be hosting BRICS. And so the preparations for that have already started on multiple fronts in all the different corners of the BRICS universe. And there's going to be a lot of attention in 2023 on South Africa for this, because it will likely be the first post-COVID BRICS summit and calendar since the start of the pandemic. And so as SABYA, we are very much already engaging strategically on how we can position the youth voice and the youth agenda during this calendar year, where there will be so much activity, because this will also lay the foundation for everything that we do for the next 5-year cycle until BRICS comes back to South Africa. Thank you very much for this and for allowing us to share this with our colleagues at SAISA, and also with all of those who will be watching and following this. So stepping back into my role as our program coordinator for today, I will then allow us to move into the segment on remarks, where we'll receive remarks from both the heads of SAISA and SABYA on the value of this partnership between our two organizations and the strategic way forward for this partnership. So I'd like to then hand over the floor to Ms. Victoria Maheso, sorry, to give the remarks for SAISA. Victoria, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rion. I'm trying to get my camera going here in a minute. Thank you. Maybe I can start. Thank you very much for such a beautiful presentation. As the South African International Students Association, we look forward to this partnership, and this clearly shows a new future for youth organizations on an international spectrum. And I believe that we will be able to open up new doors for new opportunities, particularly for a lot of young people that are interested in anything international that are from South Africa. So on our side, we are very excited, and we are looking forward to all of the good that is going to be coming out of this declaration of friendship that we are signing to right now. And we believe that this also will contribute greatly to the efforts that we are trying to do in putting South Africa on an international spectrum so we can be noticed and acknowledged for all the good that we do towards the world. So with that being said, thank you so much to our colleagues from SABYA and everybody else that has taken their time to come and witness this historic moment. And I am very happy to now officially say that we are now officially in partnership with the South African BRICS Youth Association. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And then I'll hand over to the chairperson of SABYA, Mr. Raymond Matlala, for his remarks.
Thank you so much, Rion and colleagues from SAISA. Victoria, I know we met virtually, and I hope in the next couple of weeks we will meet in person, either in Russia or in South Africa. I do want to say that in line with the SABYA's mission of strengthening institutional partnerships as well as people-to-people exchange, it is important for us to ensure that this partnership works and this partnership, it is recognized and you know, we can actively get involved in each other's work. I was quite excited to see some of your projects that you have planned for the year, and we hope to participate fully and provide all the support that is needed from our side. I think this relationship is going to be important, particularly because I remember there was one time where during the pandemic, where South African BRICS Youth Association was invited to send a delegation of 5 to Russia, and we could not do that because what we had was South African delegation based in South Africa, and we could only send one person. And to that end, we were not able to send the entire spectrum of our association invitation. And with our partnership, we will now be able to send South African based in Russia to this event, should we not be able to travel or get students or young people who can travel to Russia at particular points. And I think this is going to be quite intense, because also what we are trying to do is that we are also trying to get more South Africans involved in these international spectrums. However, you would know that the issue of travel fare is the challenge for most of our work in youth and international diplomacy. And therefore, should we have negotiated spaces in our projects with our Russian partners, we will be able to send more delegates to this event, as such that South African youth become quite more involved and come back to pour back some of those knowledges in a form of a workshop or conference to our youth spectrum in South Africa. So as a result, I'm very happy to form this relationship, this friendship, and we do want to work with you, and we're looking forward to working with you and engaging further and expanding our work in a sense that it will benefit more South Africans, not only in Russia, but in other countries. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for that, Chair. I think that those are very pertinent remarks from both Victoria and Raymond about the future of this relationship that we are now establishing. So I'm going then to move to the presentation of the actual Declaration of Friendship, and I'm going to read through it line by line, and then we will move to presenting our signed copies to all the colleagues and witnesses who are present here. I can quickly do that. All right, so you should be seeing the declaration on my screen right now. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. Colleagues can also read. All right. So now I'll just present line by line the contents of our Declaration of Friendship and Cooperation. The South African BRICS Youth Association and the South African International Students Association, noting the need to enhance the access of South African youth to opportunities abroad for purposes of personal, social, economic, and political development and progress, recognizing the common objectives of both SABYA and SAISA in promoting the interests and voices of South African youth in and through multilateralism, convinced of the shared values between SABYA and SAISA on internationalism, youth-centrism, multi-stakeholder cooperation, and the principle of do no harm in international relations, guided by the broader policies, pronouncements, and declarations of the South African Department of International Relations and Cooperation in matters related to international affairs, desiring to confirm publicly the shared sense of friendship between the organizations and formalize channels for future cooperation, herewith resolve to sign this declaration of friendship and cooperation and have agreed the following. 1, to, in good faith, consider one another's objectives and interests when planning and implementing projects that may be of relevant consequence to the other organization. 2, to promote the projects, events, and programs of the other organization through whatever platform may be relevant, including but not limited to social media, mailing lists, etc. 3, to publicly and on all relevant platforms reflect the friendship between the two organizations. 4, to involve the other organization as a partner in projects or events hosted by third parties that may be of relevance consequence to its overall objectives. 5, to, in good faith, make every effort to keep the other organization informed about project activities being carried out with stakeholders in countries where both organizations are actively working to uphold synergy and productive coexistence. 6, to designate an individual or unit in both organizations responsible for corresponding, liaising, and generally maintaining the relationship between SABYA and SAISA. So in the case of SABYA, the contact point will be the stakeholder relations officer in charge of student organizations. And on the side of SAISA, the contact point will be the organization's head of operations. These principles of friendship and cooperation are confirmed by the undersigned representatives of both organizations and will become effective from the date of signing this declaration until such a time that either organization would feel the need to amend the document. So now we will present our signed copies. So we will start with the head of SAISA, so Victoria.
I'm signing on paper on my side.
All right.
Just to show everyone, yes, here's my declaration. Sign.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. Raymond, over to you to sign your copy of the document.
Thank you, Rion. I'm quickly going to share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Sir.
Awesome. I am now placing my electronic signature on this. And the date is 16 June 2022. Thank you so much.
All right, now I would like to ask Njabulo, who is a member of the SAISA, the director of the SAISA Advisory Board, to also share their copy of the document.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. This will be my signed copy of the Memorandum of Understanding. I hope it's visible for everyone.
On my side, I cannot see you, Njabulo. Out there I can. Good. Okay. Yes, we can see it.
But can you see the signed declaration?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Njabulo. And on my side, colleagues, I'll also just share my copy again, where I've signed as a witness. So I've already included my signature. So here it is. And so that is then that. All right, so now our declaration of friendship is officially signed. I think we can have a round of applause for future cooperation. Fantastic. All right, so that brings us to the end of our program for today. the relevant parties who are mentioned in the Friendship Declaration of Friendship will now move ahead and communicate with one another on an ongoing basis. From our side, the current head of our stakeholder relations portfolio for student organizations is Ms. Andrea Yazbek. I don't know, Andrea, if you quickly want to introduce yourself and just let all the colleagues see you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're doing, or good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you're doing well. So I will be managing from the Stakeholder Relationship Department, the student portfolio, and I really, really look forward to working with each of you in the time going forward.
All right, thank you so much, Andrea. Victoria, from your side, if you could introduce your head of operations as well.
Unfortunately, our head of operation was unable to join us today, but on his behalf, I would really just say thank you very much. And he is really looking forward to start the work that we're going to be doing with SABYA. We will get him in contact with Andrea as soon as possible so the work can start. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. All right, colleagues, that brings us to the end of today's session. So I hope you all have a lovely rest of your Youth Day. I know there's a lot of activity going on today, so it was really great that we could position this important commemoration on this important day. All right, thank you, colleagues.
Thank you very much. Happy Youth Day, South Africa.
Thank you so much. Happy Youth Day to everyone. Bye-bye.
Happy Youth Day, everyone.